Just being on this call and listening to everything that's been said so far, I agree 100% with Coy. I agree with 100% with Andre. Coy, I especially resonate with the idea that the mind is not the brain. From the sketch that you had me draw when I was taking notes that brought clarity and understanding to just that statement alone, the mind is not the brain, is profound. Andre coming in and also saying that people operate from their level of consciousness is something that's also profound when you really think about it. Because if you remember, Einstein a lot of times would say that you can't solve a problem at the same consciousness used to create it. So if you have a golf ball size level of consciousness, then you can't solve a volleyball sized problem. And a lot of times in life, what we do is we put ourselves in situations where we have what we consider to be volleyball sized problems with golf ball sized understanding of how to solve them. So in moving into this manifestation piece, what I think will be a good direction to go in is to give you some time where you can suspend your disbelief and raise your consciousness just a little bit. So some of the things we may talk about, some of the things I'm probably sure you heard already in this conversation have both expanded your consciousness as well as probably made you a little bit uncomfortable, which are good things, because in that area, uncomfort is the area of growth where you can ultimately have, where you are allowing new ideas to come in, where you hopefully are able to suspend your disbelief. And so one of the things that I want to talk about today, especially as we get into manifestation, is going to be one of those things where I'm hoping that you're going to not only be able to suspend your disbelief, but take it to another level where there's some consciousness expansion that happens too. And if you do that, then in terms of manifestation, in terms of bringing both the physical as well as maybe some of the metaphysical things in your life, because for me, in the areas of manifestation, getting physical things are fine. But then when you take the same route and you say, okay, well then how do I manifest happiness? How do I manifest satisfaction? How do I manifest joy in my life? Like those types of emotions will take you so much further than a new car would or a new house would. So how are you able to manifest those types of things when you want to is what we're going to talk about today. And when you do that, you can easily start feeling satisfied. You can end what some people call self-sabotage, where you put yourself in situations where you get so close and then you end up just being so far. And then how you can do things that Coy's been talking about today on how to be able to reprogram your subconscious mind, which is one of the great things that I know people want to be able to do. But in order to do that, we have to start with one of the things that are paramount when we talk about growing your consciousness. And it's something that Coy has been doing, and it's something that Andre's been doing in this phone call. And it's something called a pattern interrupt. You have to have something that changes the way that you are, changes your level of consciousness, changes the way you think, where up until this moment you were one way, and then after this moment you will never be the same way again. There will be something else. No significant change happens in your life until you're able to experience some sort of pattern interrupt. Now, a lot of times we have pattern interrupts that occur in our life that are actually bad things. You have a death in the family. You have your house getting broken into, or something that adversely affects you in that sort of way. The pattern interrupt becomes something that's negative. But then there are also things like you get engaged, you get married, you're having a baby. Those types of pattern interrupts are positive. They are things that change you forever. But here's another pattern interrupt that I want to give you, and it's just a thought exercise. Let's just think about this for a second. But how many people on this call knew this? Did you know that your subconscious mind, right, your unconscious mind, knows what you are going to do 7 seconds before you consciously do it? Did anyone know that? So there was a study that came out in 2008, and it was done by let me pull these guys up here, by the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences, and they did a study where they showed that you decide, your subconscious decides what you're going to do 7 seconds before you actually do it. And the way that they did this study was they would show images to someone, and there were either two images. You would either have a good image or you would have a bad image. And they would hook an EEG up to your brain, and then they would measure when your brain starts reacting, when your body starts physiologically reacting to what's going to show up on the screen. And they found that 7 seconds before a good picture or a bad picture shows up, your brain already starts responding to what it's going to be, and oh, by the way, it's right. So you got to really think about that. We live in our life right now 7 seconds in the past. Science has proven that. So when Coy talks about things that are going on with your conscious mind, he's speaking truth. Because what he's telling you is your subconscious mind is so much more powerful than your conscious mind will ever be, so much so that your conscious mind is 7 seconds in the past. So then you have to ask yourself, how are you going to be able to change things consciously if it's operating from something that already expired by the time you start reacting to it? Einstein says you can't solve a problem at the same consciousness used to create it. You can't do it at the conscious level. Or, if you're a hip-hop fan, Jay-Z says you can try to change, but that's just the top layer. Man, you was who you was before you got here. It's the same thing. So then we have to begin to start asking ourselves, well, okay, if we're living 7 seconds in the past, one, that's a question of free will. What actually happens there? But then also, if we're living 7 seconds in the past, what's that thing that's actually controlling us before our conscious mind starts reacting to things? And what they also found in the study was that there was something else that started reacting too, and it was your heart. So believe it or not, your heart is 60 times, like the electromagnetic field of your heart is 60 times more powerful than your mind is. So while so many people, get this, if you can get this, while so many people talk so much about what you need to do both on a conscious and a subconscious level in dealing with your mind, most times almost no one talks about what you would do on the subconscious level of your heart. But I want to tell you right now, and this is where I'm going to go against the grain a little bit, and I'm going to tell you this is not on accident. This is done on purpose. From the things that I've been discovering, so the reason why I'm on this call being able to talk to you all is because next year I'm releasing a book called Life Cheat Codes. And what I did to get prepared to write this book was I worked with neuroscientists from both Harvard Medical School and MIT, and we traveled around the country interviewing people that had what essentially were the cheat codes to life, the biohacks, those things that gave you an unfair advantage over everyone else. And so we got to sit with them and we got to learn what their actual cheats were, the things that they actually did to move themselves ahead, whether it be manifestation, whether it be get more money, whether it be business, whether it be in school, in so many different fields. We talk to so many different types of people. So I can tell you that there is knowledge that exists out here that isn't common knowledge. It may be public knowledge, but it's not common knowledge. And it's a very distinct difference between the two, because just because something is public doesn't mean everybody knows it. The most interesting thing that I learned when doing this research for Life Cheat Codes is, did you know that one of the criteria for filing a patent for your invention is patentable if the normal people, the common person, gets taught away from your knowledge, which means universities, business leaders, and everybody teaches the opposite of what your patent is showing. So that's telling you the truth is out there, but it's not something that gets taught to the masses. It gets something that gets swept up in these patent applications that almost no one ever sees. And so I took 2 years and I was studying the things that were inside of there, the things that weren't common knowledge but were public, where people were getting extraordinary results but didn't care to tell anyone. And one of those things that I did learn is that there is something so much more powerful than your mind, and it's your heart. And we hardly ever use it, but it uses us every single day. So where do our subconscious commands come from? Evidence is showing that the subconscious commands are actually coming from your heart center. The reason why you're 7 seconds behind is because it's coming from your heart, and your mind has to be able to process it. So if you really want to start making changes, you can choose to do one or two things. You can choose to either listen to your heart or learn how to communicate with your heart so that your heart gives you the things that you truly consciously want to desire. So I agree with Coy completely. Your mind is not your brain. Your mind is a very powerful thing. Your brain is just, it's the thing that gets stuff done, right? So how do we begin to take control of the mind? We do that by understanding that it starts with having a good relationship and begin to communicate and take control of your heart. Because once you change that, then you can change your level of consciousness. And then you can begin to manifest whatever it is that you want. But you'll be able to manifest from a true place as opposed to a place of usually lack. A lot of times when I talk to people about manifesting new things, the things that they talk to me about are material things, or they come from a place of lack. Oh, if I only had this. Very few people come to me saying they want to manifest peace or happiness or satisfaction or those types of things. But it doesn't matter what you truly want. What I can do right now is to give you a quick exercise where you can begin to start communicating with your heart. Because one, your heart communicates with you every single day. Anybody who's ever been in love knows that you're not in control of your life. Your heart is. How many people fall in love with people that they never thought they would have fell in love with in the first place? And when it happens, there's really nothing you can do about it. So there's a very true and powerful testimonial that your heart is a lot stronger than we think. But how can we get to start communicating with the heart so that the heart can start giving us some of the things that we are constantly asking for? And here's the way that you can really do that. It's actually very simple. If we go back to the old Indian traditions, right, with the chakra system, the 7 main chakras that we have, this isn't woo-woo. This is, this is science before we knew what actual science was. What you can begin to do, and what the Vedas had taught, and what the Hindu traditions had taught, is that you can actually communicate with your heart by putting images inside of your heart chakra. So remember at the top of the call when Coy told you that our mind communicates in images. So if you take those same images, and instead of just holding them in your brain, actually placing them inside your heart chakra, what you're doing is you're creating a communication, a subconscious, unconscious communication with your heart, and it gives it the command to go, oh, okay, this is what they want. Well, then let me see if I can work to help them to get that. So here's exactly how you do it. We actually do this same exercise when we do the manifestation type things. So for the sake of example, let's say you want a new car. Ideally, what you would do, if you're looking to make sure that you would want to have that new car, is you would create the image of you being in the car. You would visualize yourself inside the car. What does it feel like having your hands on the steering wheel? What does the leather smell like? Including all sensory apparatus that you can, because our brain, for the most part, is used to handle the 5 senses that we use, right? It's the pleasure principles are our 5 senses. Get into those 5 senses. Once you actually have that visualization, all you simply do is take that, move your actual conscious, because your mind is not your brain, right? So take your consciousness outside of the image where now you are able to, with your conscious mind, look at it. Look at you inside the car. Take that entire image that you have, surround it in a ball of white light. Light so bright that by the time it envelops the image that you see, you can no longer see inside the image, but you know it's in there. It's a ball of white light that you can then hold on to. Take that and in your mind's eye, in your consciousness, just put it inside of your heart chakra. And your heart chakra is literally where your heart is, 3 inches to the left of your chest. Just drop it in there. Now, I know this may sound, if you've never done something like this before, it may either sound interesting, it also may sound crazy. Either way, it works. So if somebody told me I had to do something out of the ordinary, but it would give me results, and that's what I got all the time when I was looking at this like cheat codes research, then I would just do it and try it and see what happens. So I employ that same thing to you. I would say, try this and see what happens. Take something that you truly want, whether it be a car, whether it be actually satisfaction, because emotions do work better. If you want to experience happiness, take a happy experience, surround it in a ball of white light, put it in your heart chakra, and then see if you start to feel happier. I promise you will. It really does work. So using exercises like these will help you to begin to change your state immediately. So if you're not feeling good at the moment, think back to a time when you felt good, drop it in your heart chakra. Because from there, then your heart can begin to change the things that are going on physiologically, and who knows, maybe 7 seconds later you'll feel better and you won't know why. But we'll know is because 7 seconds ago your heart gave a communication to your brain that it should feel better. So consciously you may not understand what's going on, but subconsciously it's truly at work. So to close all this out, when it comes to manifestation, it really is it's a feeling game. And understand that it's not just about your mind. It's actually about including your heart. And if you can include your heart in this process with the things that you're doing, then you will begin to get what you truly want because you're coming from a place of true freedom. It's a place where love is housed. That's where your heart is. So begin to start manifesting from the heart. Begin to start listening to your heart and doing the things that your heart wants. And, maybe we'll start to have you experiencing some beautiful levels of consciousness and getting the types of things that you want. So, Andre, thank you for the call. Coy, I appreciate you being here. And I'll just stop my just kind of point there. And I guess we can open it up now. We've got about 12 or 13 minutes left for any questions that folks may have.